everybody. Welcome to another episode of Alto Call MAFS. I'm your host, Tane, here to talk about couples therapy, continuing our watch on that, season 4, episode 13. With me covering this season is Jen. Hi, Jen. How are you?
I am doing so well. We are hanging out in Thailand. We started taking some salsa lessons because why wouldn't you learn salsa in Thailand? Because that makes sense.
Your pictures look so good. It just looks so fun.
I do. I
You know,
like it here. I like it here.
that's good. Oh, we haven't spoken since I spoke to Amber, and we covered season 9 for anyone that's new here. Jen and I covered season 9 of Married at First Sight. Did you get a chance to listen to the interview?
Of course, I tell you all the time, I'm not only somebody that enjoys being on your show, I'm a fan. And so I listened to your Amber episode and also listened to your Bada episode. So from the Amber episode, I liked her. I didn't know what I was expecting.
Yeah.
Um, when the episode started, but I think once she got loose, I don't know if it's been a while since she talked about this, but once she got really comfortable and she relaxed, um, and she got kind of into the weeds of stuff. I liked how she talked about how some of the men in her area don't typically lean politically where she does. And she roasted those fools. So I absolutely love that. I'm glad she sounds happy. So I think in terms
Yeah.
of where she is now, where she was then, got some insight into how much she knew anyway about Matt and what his shenanigans. We also figured out why her and her bestie didn't hook up, which I wish they had. They seem like a good fit. But now that we know that she prefers men that are a little bit more tan, that yeah, no, I liked it. I liked her a lot. I kind of wish this version of her was on the show, but I think she just needed the time and to grow and to kind of look at everything. So yeah, I think maybe we kind of give some grace to people once they're on the other side of it. I kind of felt the same way about Lindsay, where I think my brother and I roasted her when we covered her season, and then we interviewed her and we both were like, "Oh my gosh, we love her. She's so great."
Yeah. I think you answered the question I was gonna ask was like how do you see her now compared to when we watched her on Maps? And I think we give grace and we do the best that we can collectively, but the only thing is we can only go by what the show shows us, you know? So it's just very difficult when you have to remember that it's also a TV show, but then we also have to remember that they're human beings. But even by her own acknowledgement, she's not the same person that she was
Yeah.
when she did the show. So yeah,
Yeah. But I like that I had my feelings confirmed, or I think you and I were kind of feeling like on the halfway decision day, whatever that thing was called, that we were
yeah.
both feeling like, Dr. Viviana was giving her an out and she didn't take it. And she kind of said on your interview, yeah, I kind of wish I had taken that one too. So that's good. I like that she gave a little she roasted Matt a little bit too, which he absolutely deserves, even to this day. So no, it was really good. I think you asked good questions. I think you're really good at kind of balancing, hey, here's some stuff that we want to know versus caring about them as people. And I felt that in your interview with Amber, but also your interview with Barta. I think I really, really liked you connecting with Barta on kind of like the cultural aspect in terms of like how your families are really kind of integrated into your relationships and thinking
Mhm.
about culturally what that looks like. And so I think you really have a good sense. Like you're not trying to do the gotcha moments. You're not like Nick Vial, who's just trying to be right all the time. So I don't know. I'm always saying these people need to get you on the show. You're really, really good at these interviews.
Hey Jen, the Nick Vial, he's doing something right. He gets all the people, gets all the things. So
I
maybe that's what the
mean,
people want. They want the gotcha.
I guess. I don't
A
know.
moment. Which, speaking of which, I mean, I'm digressing all over the place, but the Love Is Blind people are Nick Vial already. Like, I have expressed this on the Love Is Blind coverage. I don't understand why we are doing interviews before the season is even up. Like, what is going on? Why are we speaking? And it's not even on AD's podcast, which I would think, oh, it's connected to Netflix. It's Nick Vial. Like, we
Yeah.
don't need any interviews yet. If not, what is the point of the reunion?
I agree, and well, and I think that I'm half in and half on him. Like sometimes I like I liked him for a little bit, and then he got a little too big for his britches. So I just kind of go for the guest at this point. So I did listen to the Casey and Patrick one, and part of me is in one camp where I want them raw, like before they get a PR machine behind
Hmm.
them, because Casey thought she did herself a favor and she did not. So I think having her go in fresh before some PR company got behind her and was like, look, girl, you need to say this, and have her come out fake and disingenuous. She came out super genuine. It's just that we don't like the genuine person that she is. So that was the only thing I appreciated about them doing the interviews now. And still Patrick hasn't learned what we hoped the universe has brought to him in terms of lessons, but I guess that's what you get when you get them fresh versus having them be polished for the reunion.
Mm, 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 mm. Well, I've just been seeing different clips, but I'm not actively going to listen yet because I don't know. I listened to an interview with Madison and I'm like, okay, so clearly, based on everything you're saying, you're not together, right? Because how could you be? How
Right.
could your fiance give you an eating disorder and you say yes at the altar? But okay.
But
Um,
also, nobody's surprised by that. Like, that's not a spoiler alert. There's no way, shape, or form that her and Joe were going to stay together. So, her coming out and interviewing before the show airs is not like, oh no, what happened? We knew they weren't going to last.
mm, all right. All right. On to why we are actually here. We are here for these couples therapy people. This episode was interesting. I felt like, yeah, I know like they're trying to just give us snippets of their sessions, but the snippets or the sessions felt incomplete to me. In that they talked about big things, and I'm like, wait, that's it? Is that the conclusion? And I just felt, I know they can't put everything or fit everything into one episode, but it felt like we can't end here. That's how I felt.
Yes, it definitely felt, especially with Kathy and Nick, like it definitely felt very cliffhangery, which I don't necessarily enjoy on this show because I think we don't need that. I'm at for me, I'm gonna come back and watch Orna do Orna stuff. So I didn't need this very dramatic, like, will you tell the story, babe? So that was a little annoying, but I think too for some of the other couples that we'll get into, like okay, there was a moment where this could have been awakened and then it kind of dropped.
Yeah.
So a lot of it felt like, ooh, we're getting there. And then we went to another couple, or ooh, we're getting
Yeah.
there. And then we cut away. So yeah, I felt the same way.
Yeah. All right, starting with Rod and Allison. It's so cute because we see like a home video of them when they were like much younger in the streets of New York and they're being so complimentary and affectionate and you're so cute and you're so this and I'm like, ah, life. Life will always get you. So they're back in the office with Orna, and Allison shares that through therapy, she's learned that she expects more than she's getting. Orna says using the word expect means like you're setting Rod up to fail because if he doesn't meet up to their expectations, then automatically you're like, he has failed. Rod asks, what is the thing that you're expecting from me? And she's like, I don't know. I don't know what I want. And Orna says, but that's important. Now, funny enough, we just had a similar conversation I had with Brian when we were doing Love is Blind, where Sparkle Megan was telling Jordan like she doesn't know what she wants when he was asking her, what is it that you want? And I said, I usually don't believe in when people say I don't know. I always feel like people always know. It's either you're scared to express yourself or you don't know how to express yourself or you just don't want to go deep. But you can't have like a feeling and not explore what the reason is. And I want to say, like, I think it's BS. And for someone, especially like Allison, I think she knows what she's expecting from him. But I don't know if part of her feels like it is ridiculous. So she doesn't want to say it out loud. But I absolutely think that she does know what she expects. What do you think?
I don't know. I think that she thinks that she knows. I think what she says about him a lot is that it's that thing where you say often is that, your partner is not your mind reader. And I think
Mhm,
she kind of feels like, well, we've been together this long, you should know what I want. But it's like, lady, you don't even know what you want. How's he supposed to know what you
mhm,
want? And I think it's in a tough spot. I don't think she's somebody who's shy. I think if she truly knew what she wanted, she would demand it. But I think the
mm,
fact that she comes at him with just, I don't know, I don't want to say vitriol, but she comes at him with energy, and he rarely knows what to do with that energy. He knows the energy is coming. He doesn't know which energy, and he doesn't know if he's always the source of the energy, but he knows energy is coming. And so he's kind of always in this kind of defensive spot. And I think
mhm.
what she needs is for him to push back gently on her. But
Yeah.
she doesn't know how to ask for that because she only knows how to bull in a china shop
Yeah,
things.
but even that is something that she wants is like, "Hey, I need you to push back or to react or something." I think she knows that, but I don't know.
I Yeah, because it's tough because when somebody challenges, even when Orna challenges her, she talks over them and she gets not loud, but she gets very wordy and da da
She
da and like,
agitated. Yeah.
yes, thank you. And Orna even has to be like, wait, listen to your words. Like your words and your actions are not matching. And so it has to take Orna to kind of do that. And I like when you're going to get into this, but when um, Orna says to
Yeah.
Rod, you see what I did there? You can do that too.
Yeah, but she should, she's taking 3-hour walks with her dog. Use that time to be introspective and
Right.
figure out, what are some of the things, figure out some patterns and realize what is truly going on in there. So Rod says like he tries to avoid the conversations because one, it's difficult. And if he says finances and Allison just interrupts and Orna is like, hold on. Rod says there's a lot of pressure on him, and it's not a bad thing for him to be more successful. But the way that she delivers that to him with her tone, it feels like a jab. And she's just like, it feels like what? Tate, it feels like what? And he's like, it feels like a jab. So once again, she says, I'm not angry. I'm not angry when everything in her body language says otherwise. Orna points that out and is like, you seem angry, you look angry, and says, if you're not angry, then do something that shows that you actually do want to hear his feelings because all of this is not inviting. Rod is like, you see, you just saw what happened. She just triggers so quickly.
Hmm.
Allison says, yeah, they need to talk about their finances and figure it out. But it's just like the same conversation. And Orner is like, let's talk about it. I'm here. So he brings up, we're going through it and we see that you spent $700 on eye testing. And it's just like, that what we're going to talk about? Like, I'm not going to justify that. I needed to do that. It's once a year. And if you had any issues, why didn't you say anything? And that's the thing is that she has to make room for Rod's point of view. She might not
Right.
like it, but don't say we
Right.
need to talk. But the talking needs to be a blame fest on Rod because that's really what she wants.
Right.
You want to talk about money, but not what your contribution to the money issue is, just about what that Rod is not bringing more money. Honor tells her, like, if you want him to share more, you have to stop being angry. You have to be
Yes.
more inviting. And then
Yes.
he's like, but what triggers your anger? And she says, I took time off to care for our daughter. I don't regret it, but we lost a lot of money, so it feels like we're playing catch up. He says, well, I mean, it sounds like you are regretful. And she gets so mad. She's like,
Yeah.
because he gets so condescending. I'm sorry. I did not think that was condescending at all. I
No.
think he was just pointing out the obvious. It's like you're saying all these words, but I don't think you realize your words never match up your body language. And you are regretful and it's okay, but I think it's a very sensitive thing. The thing about kids is like even if you regret it, if you're not you can't return them, you can't say that out loud. If not, you're a terrible person. So I think she's trying to say all the right things, but also not in a bad way, being conscious of not saying something that her kid could watch later and be like, oh, so you didn't want, like, you regret having me, which I don't blame her for that at all. But you're in the quote unquote safe space of your therapist's office, except with cameras and the rest of us watching it. But you could at least align and admit it so that they can treat you. Because the thing about everybody saying, we're going to go to therapy, we're going to go to therapy, if you're not being honest,
Yeah.
it's like giving a doctor not the full symptoms. How the hell are they going to treat you? Because how are they going to deal with your full range of emotions and thoughts if they don't know what it is? So she says like it's years of suppression on how much it hurts. And Orna says, "What hurts?" And I'm like, honestly, I wanted to know too. I'd already been like, "What is hurting?" Like, use your words, woman. And then she goes, "I don't know what I'm saying." Now, understand that I'm watching this and I'm taking notes before they say certain things. At this very moment, when she just says, "I don't know what I'm saying," I put on my tinfoil armchair diagnosis, armchair diagnosis, and I wrote, and I'm going to read verbatim what I wrote. This woman is mad at herself for something and doesn't want to face that and instead is blaming someone else. And
Oh,
I'm
hey,
just saying that
okay,
because
armchair expert, you go. Okay.
so I'm saying that because that comes up later, and it's not because I watched the whole episode, because watching and taking notes is not easy, and I'm what as it goes along. But I'm like, okay, she's mad at herself because I think the number one thing a lot of human beings suffer from is shame. There's shame spiral, and once
Absolutely.
you're in a shame spiral, it's so hard to get out. You just whirl and move around it like a tumble dryer and just stay there and shrink, I guess. So she says she doesn't know how to communicate, but she feels like he can apply himself more. And then maybe that's who he is. And maybe that's who she is, just an anxious and angry person who wants performance. Which is why I told you, like, I don't believe and I don't know. It's there. She knows what it is. There's just many things that are stopping you. You say something, you can't take it back. You
Yeah,
say something, okay, do I look silly? You say something, okay, does this change everything? But I think Ornar can work with this,
yeah. And I like
and then
go ahead.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I like what you said, like, the word shame is so palpable, like, that's it, because the amount of energy people spend hiding their shame, that once
Mhm.
you name the shame, like, you can then deal with it, and I
Yeah.
think that, that's what a lot of her anger is about, and that's what a lot of her talking over people is about, is just, "I have all of these feelings, and my feelings aren't conventionally not great, but they would not be accepted amongst my friends," because I get the sense that they have money, even though they talk about not having money. I get
Mhm.
the sense that wherever they live, that they've got money and she's got to keep up appearances, and she's the oldest of her daughter's parents. And, I think she's very concerned about perception. And until she can, although she would tell you that she's not, but her sparkly sweaters tell me that she is that once she stops worrying about perception, then she can really focus on who she is and what she wants. And, because who she was in the video, that intro video, she wasn't worried. They were out in the public. She wasn't worried about looking silly, telling her husband she was cute. Like, that's the lady that she hopefully can return to, that lady that was carefree and wasn't burdened with all of these expectations, is what it feels
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. And then she says it. She's like, "I took too much time off and I'm mad at myself."
Yeah,
And then Ornar is just nodding and looking at her like, "Okay, okay." And then Rod is like, he says that, but because of that, we have an awesome kid and you're an awesome mom. And Ornar is like, "That's great, but it's not the point."
exactly.
She's like, "Thank you." I was just like, "Thank you for saying that." Because, yeah, I'm not
But it was
saying
Rod
that.
it was Rod trying to help. It was Rod saying that, you know, I can't give you back your time, but I can acknowledge that your sacrifice resulted in us having this amazing kid. And that's Rod trying to help
Yeah, it was just
in
wrong
his sad
timing.
little body. I know,
It's
but
just
he
wrong timing. And I think, I'm not saying that Rod is perfect in this. Again, I always say the guilty party is usually the one who's more outspoken. And in this case, it's Allison who just speaks in her triggers and her anger. Because the thing about Rod is like, Rod should be doing something. I don't think he should read her mind, but at least initiate the conversation to ask, what can I do? What is going on? But totally avoiding it, that's annoying in itself. And I think there's just a lot of holes for me in that. What was the reason why she couldn't work and raise the kid at the same time?
right.
Like, what was the conversation of the trade-off? Was it her saying, "I don't want to miss time with my daughter"? Like, when she got older, could you not go back to work? Could you, like, what was that conversation about? That's what I want to know. And then even when he says finances, that was new to us. We've been talking about how they're speaking, how they're not, had no idea that finances was even on the table. But if it is on the table, in what sense? Are you in debt, or do you just have to tighten your budget, or is it that he's not going for a promotion? Because there were just tidbits that were being dropped here and there. He said the finances. She's like, we need to talk about it. He says, I need to be more successful. She's like, you could push yourself more. So when we say finances, what does that mean? We don't know.
Well, and I don't know if you any ever get anywhere in a conversation because it's like in a landmine. You never know what's going to set her off. And if the conversation is about finances, yes, your mandatory required eye appointment is part of it, but there's other things. Like, we're not having financial issues because of your $700 appointment, but it is something that came up, and maybe it came up for Rod because he didn't know you had the $700 appointment. So there's more to it than the appointment, but because she blows up, you never get past, well, what's below the appointment? Is it that you didn't tell him that you had it? Is it that it blew your budget for that month? Like, there's more to it than you had this eye appointment. But because her go to her what's her baseline, her automatic response to anything is to blow up, the conversation never goes anywhere.
I agree. That's another point. I think I was criticizing the show. I was like, they just need to do a better job of laying it out for us
Yeah.
of what it is, because this is just all new information, and I'm sure like they are privy to more information, more being said, but there are other couples, but it's hard for me as a viewer to follow, because now it's like finances, but finances could be anything, but what is it? I
Mm.
don't know. But I do agree that, him specifically bringing up the $700, is it that a continuation of last week where she goes on the walks, doesn't tell him? Is it you go do this, you don't tell him, hey, by the way, I'm going to do this, and you want to be in the know so you can budget? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I wish that they would do all that. And now that to wrap them up is to say that they still haven't followed up on the intimacy. You can't give them homework like that and then there's no follow up on how is that going. Now that the mother has left, do you feel better? Do you like the follow up is weak? Sorry, I love Orna, but I don't know if it's just a show styling choice, but it's leaving me with more questions than answers.
Yeah. And I imagine this is why people end up in therapy for years and years and years, because you think, okay, we're going to go in and talk about intimacy, but somehow we ended up in finances and that never went anywhere, at least this week. So we've got to revisit. So I think that's why when people think, oh, therapy, it takes so long, it's like, yeah, because one thing, there's not one issue in your relationship. If it's intimacy, it's also rolled up in finances, it's also rolled up in X, Y, and Z, and you've got to deal with all of this stuff as it comes. So I imagine for Orna, yes, y'all had intimacy homework, but this, we have to deal with this finance thing that clearly has been on everybody's mind, and you guys haven't created a path, a clear communication path for talking about this thing. So until we get past this thing, we can't get back to that thing, I imagine.
I actually think they addressed it. I just think he didn't
Did
make the
they?
show.
We missed it.
I just think he didn't make the show.
It was boring.
Everything can't be put on the show. So it's me again criticizing the show. Like, don't give them homework and then don't show the follow up, because it is important to their dynamic.
Yeah.
So I don't know. At least I hope they did, but I do think they followed up and we just didn't see it. But that was it for them. I'll take a break and be right back with Kyle and Mundo. Okay. Kyle and Mundo. Orna is sharing with her peer advisory group, which I don't know if you know. How does this fall under HIPAA? Can you talk to your, like, is that allowed?
I think in the space of, because they all have that, I assume the couples on this show, I mean, if you're on a TV show, you're allowed to talk about this stuff. It sounds to me like they're watching footage. The group is
No,
watching footage.
no, I mean in
So,
general, not just TV. Because I
oh,
mean, I assume every therapist has this. They wouldn't show it if it was against the law. It's not. I don't think
correct.
it's for TV. Is what I'm saying. So, like, I'm just saying in general, when a therapist talks to their peer advisory group and shares, it's not just like, oh, she's talking to Virginia, which is one person. She's talking to like a whole group and sharing their whole thing. How is that still under? Is that still protected? But to your point, I don't know. Are they doing it for TV? I hope not.
No, I would think that they do have an advisory group. I imagine that there's something in their confidentiality agreement that says that covers this. But I also think if a because doctors talk to other doctors about patients all the time. Like if they want to consult on a case, and figure out, hey, I'm having this patient that X, Y, and Z. I think as long as they're not sharing identifiable information, I think it's fine for them to talk to each other about their patients because they want their advice. As long as they're not talking about, hey, Mondo, who lives on 32nd Street and works at this store, it's fine. But I think of it as the same way as doctors talking to each other about medical things. As long as you're not sharing identifiable information, it's fine to have that
Mhm.
conversation.
Okay. So Orna shares that they're deeply committed to the process, maybe even too committed. And Ken, one of the peers, says that he hears that Mondo says way more than Kyle, and he wonders if Mondo doesn't fill in for Kyle. I'm not sure I understood that. And I think after watching the whole episode, my closest guess was Mondo interpreting stuff for Kyle. I don't know. What was your interpretation of that?
I think it made sense to me later when they were talking about their trip, where maybe not that Mondo apologizes for Kyle, but if they're with other people and somebody notices that Kyle's like tuned out or he's not responding or whatever, then Mondo fills in the blank for Kyle, which is kind of a parenting thing that I could see why that would annoy Kyle. Um, but
Mm,
that's what that meant to me, was just that he
okay.
kind of um, fills in the blanks for him for other people and not
Okay.
necessarily with each other.
Okay. So Orna says that she wonders if he's having an experience where Kyle is not connecting because, Kyle was deaf and was the only, I think, deaf person in his immediate family, and his mother did not acknowledge it until later. So this is a very Kyle focused episode for them. Kyle shares with them, they're back in Orna's office now, that his grandma is deaf and she married his step grandfather who's deaf as well. And in Poland, they don't have any resources for that. So his mom was the one taking care of the family and she hated it. Then she married his dad, who was very abusive. She left eventually, but with a memory that sticks out to him is like one day she came into the hallway just covered in blood, but then she smiled at him. I was like, it's okay, go play outside and it's fine. And then years later, the social worker asked, and I don't know if this was in Poland or if this was in America, I have no idea, asked him if he'd ever seen his mom cry. And he turned to his mom and sister and was like, what color is crying supposed to be? And they're like, that's odd. It's clear like that. And he's like, no, that he never saw that. But what he only saw was red. And Orna talks about how maybe his deafness made him isolated, but also gave him protection from all the madness. And he's like, yeah, like basically, like I could not hear anything. There was no music, no nothing. I just realized that I was alone. And I don't know. I feel like this gave me chills.
It's freaking scary. And that is trauma. That is so entirely traumatic for you to go through as a kid, and that your little kid brain fills in information based on how it's received. And that, but also it's very strange that he's got family members that are deaf, but his mom wanted him to grow up denying that he was deaf. Like there's so much
Yeah.
going on that it does not. Like, I think I gasped when he said that his grandparents were deaf. I'm like, well, then why is your mom trying to raise you as somebody that's not deaf? That's so strange to me, and that's something that probably needs to be dug into. But yeah, trauma for this little
Yeah.
guy.
That's what I meant by there were a lot of holes for me
Yeah.
in the episode because these are things like, and again, I don't want to blame Orna because I'm sure she's doing her job. And at the end of the day, number one, it's a television show, but the way it's been edited or presented, how is it, like I said, and it's not even like her grandma, his grandma married a man that was deaf, like his step grandfather.
Hmm.
So it's not strange. It's not new to the family. So, I mean, it's not so strange when you think about it. Like maybe the mom is like, "What? Not this again?" Because she already hated taking care of the family, which that's her mom, her step grandpa, and then she finds out her kid is deaf, and she's like, "I'm not going to do this again. So I'm just going to act like he's not because my life is not going to be harder." That's not out of reach, but there's more to be figured out. Like why? Like just to confirm, was that really the case? because it's a whole different story if there was no deafness in the family and you're faced with this and you don't know what to do. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's a lot for a kid, and I think this is the first time, because I've been a Kyle hater for all of these episodes, but and which is why I like Orna for kind of spotting this with her group. Like, he's not doing a lot of talking in here, but when he does talk, it's these things that are like, what? There are these outrageous things that are really detached from what we experience from Mondo. And so to finally hear him speak for himself, because we heard about this very traumatic thing that happened to Mondo last week with his boyfriend, but Kyle didn't seem to have a reaction to it. And so I wonder if Kyle seeing trauma at such a young age and growing up being, treated as somebody different than who he was, like, he's got a very high bar for things that are traumatic. So even hearing this story about Mondo, he's like, oh, that sucks because his bar is high. Do you know what I mean?
I think what I took out of it was the realization of when you don't realize that you are privileged, we take
Mm,
it for granted that we can hear, we can talk, we can just move
yeah.
in, and it's effort for Kyle.
Yeah.
And he's trying to fit into our world, the hearing world. And he's talking to us. He's not like most of the people he encounters probably don't do sign language, but he has to
Hmm.
fit in and be able to do that. So a lot of how his experience in life is silence, but
Yeah.
it's hard to fathom. So when you say things, when Mondo says what happened to him, Kyle is just going back to his silence. Like
Right.
all he hears is sounds like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that happened. Sorry about that." But he can't experience it the way we do because he's just moving through life in a completely different way. And to your point, it could be just a regular day, but he doesn't even know because he
Yeah.
doesn't get the full grasp of emotion. Like his mom is being beat up, but she's smiling through the blood.
Mhm.
So to
Mhm.
him, okay, you're smiling in this blood. Maybe that's not like an actual thing. Like for you not to even know that tears should be clear.
Right.
Something
Right.
that they're looking at him like, wait, what? That's regular. For what?
Right.
He doesn't know that. So it's going to be like a relearning of emotions, a relearning of a whole different world in a whole different way than those of us who can hear do. And then as
Right.
if that wasn't enough, he said like, he came back from school one day, his mom married his stepdad, and his stepdad was gone, and he asked, "Oh, where is he?" His name was George, I believe. And he's like, "Oh, he packed up and left, no goodbye, nothing." And then that was it. And it looks like he comes from a household where we just move forward, we don't ask questions, we don't deal with anything, which could
Yeah.
add to also how he experiences life. Like we don't dwell, like this happened, oh that sucks, let's move on. So he thinks it's his fault, and he thinks like it was the same for his dad also. So his dad now and his stepdad, that it's because he was deaf and he was too inconvenient and like he's a burden, and he questioned his worthiness. Like, his dad would always fight wanting to pay $35 a week child support. And in his mind, he's like, so that's what I'm worth is $35. And even that's too much for you. So Mondo says, like, as your partner, I want you to know, like, your worth and, snap out of that thinking. And Kyle says that that's something that Mondo taught him to be able to snap out of it. Now that didn't read as a positive to me, but everyone seems to agree in the room. I'm like, if something's going through something, I mean, if someone's going through something, telling them to snap out of it is not the best thing to do, I thought, but
I
everyone
took it
seemed okay
as
with it.
I took it as because Kyle said that, he tunes things out. Like, if there's a lot going on, he tunes things out. And he goes wherever he goes. He doesn't really talk about where he goes when he tunes things out. But Mondo, on top of saying snap out of it, he also said, be here with me. And so I think that's how I took it. I didn't take just the snap out of it on its own. It was
Okay.
be here with me, be present. So you've tuned
Okay.
out for whatever reason, but be in the present, be here, be tuned back in, because I've noticed that you've tuned out. So that's how I took it.
Okay. That's fair. I feel like maybe I have an understanding of why Kyle wants to be in an open relationship. I don't know if I'm reaching, but maybe the feeling of I'm not being a burden to someone. I'm not I'm feeling like I'm free to do whatever it is that I want to do, and I don't have to be at the, I don't know, the beholding of somebody else. Still maybe do that single, but I don't know. What do
I'm
you?
con- I'm confused by Kyle because if he's somebody that's used to tuning stuff out, you've picked the least tune out person you could possibly pick. Like I could understand if you're like, when I'm done with things, I'm done with things. If I need a break, I need a break. Like you've picked the least I'm going to give you a break person that exists on the
Mhm.
planet, which I'm sure if he came from a place where I was around men who just randomly disappeared and now I have this partner that's never going to disappear, well, that comes with a partner that's never ever going anywhere. So when you want to tune out, he's not going to let you tune out. So now I see that dynamic and how frustrating it possibly is for Kyle. And I don't know if if it's as simple as maybe Mondo needs to learn ASL so that he gets that break. If that's a solution in their relationship, but I don't know. It's so interesting that people end up with people that they think that they want, but
Mhm.
then having what you want comes with a level of work that you did not expect.
Yeah, because Kyle could easily have someone who is open to an open
Yeah.
relationship. And
Hmm.
it seems like his preference is someone who's deaf, so he could easily have that. And Mondo could get someone who's monogamous, but they want to cling to each other for some reason. And I'm like, why?
And
You
that's
know?
for Orna to figure out. There's something that they're both missing, or there's something that feeds a part of themselves that they're not actively aware of, and that's what they need to figure out. Because on the
Mhm.
surface, no, you guys aren't serving each other, but there's something about Mondo's I'm not going to call it mother, Mondo's fathering and Mondo's consistent presence that feels something for Kyle. And then there's something about Mondo's innate need to take care of somebody that he gets from Kyle. But I don't know if that's enough to subsist, maintain a relationship. It's got to be more than just filling your sad parts.
Yeah, it's not because I think, I mean, you nailed it really, because Mondo, I mean, Kyle feels that for Mondo, where Mondo is used to being a caretaker. So in
Mm-hmm.
this way, I feels like Mondo likes to feel needed,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what he's done his whole life. So Kyle lets him be feel useful because he always needs him in some way, some form or the other. And
Right.
for Kyle, Mondo is that stability that he never got. His dad left, his stepdad left. He knows no matter what I do, no matter how hard I try, because I have tried, Mondo is not going anywhere. So I need
Right.
some stability in my life, or someone who's there, but at the same time I want to be free.
Exactly.
So, but it's,
Exactly.
again, we say this every week. It's unhealthy. So
No.
they need to go ye be free, and then when you've grown up and matured, be together. So
I mean, and I thought my solution was pretty creative. Like maybe if Mondo, and I don't know how quickly that's going to solve their relationship, but maybe if Mondo learned ASL and that gave Kyle that break where he didn't have to tune out, where he could speak in his language. I'm trying to put it. I see sometimes on like TikTok where a man will learn Korean because his girlfriend's Korean and he wants to propose to her and he wants to ask for the parents' permission. Like it's not, you're not going to have full conversations, but it's a step. And so I wonder if it's something like that where if Kyle had a little bit of that, maybe it would help him. I don't know.
maybe it would, or maybe it would reveal like that really isn't the problem. He doesn't want to be with him, but he just likes him being stable and likes like he adores him, and that's why he's there. You know. All right, quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, back to the worst man on this season, Boris. Like, I don't know what to do with this man. And I know we always say, leave, leave. No, honestly, Jessica needs to leave, or else she'll become even more of a shell of herself. But we get a shot of them at home, and apparently, Boris has written a lot of books that nobody is buying because a lot of them are in his house. Does he need that many copies of his books in his
And I've been
house?
asking myself, why is this man on this show? And now I know. He's
Yeah,
trying to he's trying to sell these damn books.
yeah. So then they're sitting in the waiting room, and I'm like, uh oh. Like, if I can feel this tension through the TV screen, what is going on? Boris asks Jessica, how are you doing? She just shakes her head, and he's like, not good. And she's like, shakes her head again. And he's like, are you going to be able to do this? They go in, and Boris asks Orna, what do you do when two people in a relationship have diametrically opposite feelings about one of the most prominent experiences in their life? Shut the fuck up. You just moved. That's all you did. I was so mad at that. I was like, I was so mad at that. He put all these big English words as if there was like a huge shift, a cosmic, seismic thing. I'm like, ugh.
And you know he
So,
practiced that. You know he practiced that in the waiting room while he was asking Jessica how she was feeling. You know he was just practicing this monologue in his head. And the do you know that scene from Sex in the City where they're at the four women are at the diner and Samantha says something like, "I'm dating a man that has the funkiest tasting spunk,"
spunk.
and Charlotte just gets up and walks out.
Mhm.
That's how I feel every time Boris is on my screen. I just want to get up and walk out.
He's like, I feel like this decisions that we've made has made my life so much harder. She has a different experience, but I'm so unhappy and she's so happy. In fact, I'll say like I'm clinically depressed. Dude, you are so manipulative. You cannot be clinically depressed unless a clinic says you're depressed. You can't just open your mouth and say it. Do you have a note from a doctor who says you're clinically depressed? Ugh.
But also, you're in a room with two therapists. Fool, who do you think you're fooling? Neither one of these women believe you.
Oh my gosh. I didn't take a deep breath because this man made me so mad.
He's
But Jessica is
infuriating.
clearly just over it. She's like, I'm just tired of talking about it. She's crying. She's like, it's just assumed that I can't understand or that I can't change. And if she understood that she could find a solution. And I'm like, is there any other solution besides moving in his mind? I think that's the only thing he thinks is a solution. He says, like, yeah, understanding is not the issue. Like, I just want acknowledgement and I don't want words. Anyone can say words, but it's the tone. You can't fake feelings. And then Orna asked Jessica to share more, and the woman is just struggling. She's barely uttering any words. She's just really just crying. And I just keep thinking, what was the plan to go through this without therapy? Because this is the situation with therapy.
Yeah.
How do you
You-
think they would fare? This man would just mentally overlord her and manipulate her and make her feel guilty.
and has been, which is why they're in therapy. I think it's so wild that he is so boldly, loudly wrong, and is just waiting for somebody in the room to just stand up and applaud him and be like,
Yeah.
"Yes, you're the man." And when he's not getting that, then he reverts to, "Oh, well, I guess I'm just a monster." So somebody will be like, "No, you're not a monster." Like, he's doing all of these things to get reactions out of people, and he's not
Mhm.
getting it. So so stop
So
it.
he
You're
dialing it
not.
last week
Yes.
he tried sympathy. I just don't like how I'm being portrayed.
Mhm.
You're portraying yourself, dude.
But also, that what does that have to do with Jessica? Like, there's no point in any of his discussions that involve Jessica. It's always about, I'm feeling like a failure. I'm a monster. I'm uncomfortable. My life is harder. Like, she's there too. And is there
Mhm.
any part of you for 5 seconds that considers her? Because not only is she doing her job, because you all have just moved to wherever you've just moved for her work, but now she's also taking care of kids, because I saw you were sitting in a rocking chair while she was playing with the kids. Like, what is your work? Clearly she's
Yeah.
buying tomatoes because you're pissed at the tomatoes that she buys. What is your work? I don't see it. Show me your work.
Mm-hmm. Orna asked Jessica to share more, and this woman is, like I said, struggling. And she said there's nothing to say because they have had this conversation many, many, many times, and she doesn't know what else to say. She asks, then she says, turn to him and just say what you can. She tells him, we know that we can't move. What can we do to give you comfort? And he says nothing. She was like, the remoteness, the joblessness is the problem. he would feel better if he felt his wife wasn't gritting her teeth every time they talked about it. And then the real Boris is back because he says, I don't understand that how can't you see that this move is helping you thrive, that has made my life so much harder? It's so plain, it's so simple. How can you not see that? And now that's condescending. In case Allison wants to know what condescending is, that's what it is. And honestly, Jen, he seems upset that his wife is thriving. That is the problem.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
problem is that he's seeing his wife do well, seeing his wife happy, and she's married to her op.
Yeah. I think I wrote it down that you said it pretty much verbatim is the thing that's making you thrive is the thing that's making my life harder. Which, what? How are you not, if you see your wife thriving, how are you not like, yeah, babe, thrive? We've made 100 moves for my shit. Now it's your turn. What do you need? I need you to be a Stedman in this situation. I need you to be the
Yeah.
man behind the woman. I need you to up her up. I need you to Dwayne Wade this. Like, I need you to be that dude that's like, babe, you are thriving. I got you. You need to thrive. I got the kids. You need to thrive. I'm cooking. You need to thrive. I got this. Like, because your success is our success. But him and his pile of books doesn't see it that way, which is insane.
I don't understand why he thinks that the solution is what can we do to make me less unhappy and for you to join me in making me happy. And instead, it's not what can I do to bask in you thriving so that I can be happy for you. And why
Exactly.
has Orna not brought up the fact that what was it when we were doing the moves for you? What is
Exactly.
different this time? If she went ahead with it, why can't she have her moment to shine? I'm so confused by this whole thing. And then she apologizes, Jessica, that is, for not showing sympathy for his situation and for the fact that he feels alone. And I really wish that she didn't apologize because all he wants is for her to feel as bad as he does. Because after she apologizes, this motherfucker says thank you, and she's like, okay, well, you see, that doesn't mean anything to him. And he goes, yeah, it doesn't actually. Uh,
Which is so painful. Like, it's one of those things where, and there's psychological experiments on this where like people put money in a vending machine and they put money in the vending machine and candy doesn't come out. Like, there's only so many times that they're going to put that money in and the candy doesn't come out when they stop putting money in. And I think he thinks it's never going to stop. She's going
mhm.
to stop. I don't
I
know
think he
when.
forgets that
But
she's the one working. So if she leaves him, his SOL. Like, you need to figure out yourself. And also, what work does he want to do? Is it about the Apple, or you are in New York and you want to pursue writing? Where else better should you be? Well, I guess, where were they? Iowa?
oh, Minnesota, Montana.
Okay, one of those places. I thought it was where they have a writing network or something thing there. I don't know. I don't. This guy wants to dim her shine, and I hope she doesn't let him. Like, don't
Yeah.
give in to that. Orna does a voiceover and says Jessica is really trying, and he's refusing to see it. It's not a voiceover. She's talking to her peer, and her peer asks, like, "Do you think the therapy is making it worse?" Which is another thing to consider because sometimes you are not strong enough when you do therapy. It might unearth things that you're not ready to face or you didn't know, and you're just like, oh my God, what is this? So she says that something about the therapy is a pressure cooker, and that's not good medicine for them. They are too fragile. And in my mind, I'm like, this is why I'm not an expert because I'm thinking they need it more than anybody. Without therapy, what happens?
He just keeps tearing Jessica down and she keeps getting sad and sick. And I don't think he recognizes too, not to be an asshole, but to be an asshole. Like, if y'all break up, she gonna be fine. She is tall, she is beautiful, she's successful, she's conventionally beautiful. Even if she's got 2 kids, she's gonna be okay. You're you. I don't know if that's
Wait,
gonna
can
turn
we
out how
back
you
up?
think it's
What do
gonna
you
turn out.
mean by even if she has 2 kids?
Don't they have to, like, if they split, I imagine the kids will be with her full time.
Oh, okay, 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 okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I think she'll be fine. And she has money.
She's
She's the
gonna be
one working.
okay. She's
Yeah.
gonna be okay, and I don't think he realizes that. I would be real careful if I were him.
But I think he thinks that she's never going to leave because, like I
Yeah,
said, that thing, that shame spiral shows up everywhere. I still feel like she's guilty that she left her first husband for him. and maybe determined to make it work. But honestly, everyone has a threshold. So I really actually hope that she pushes and pushes him. I mean, he pushes her to her threshold and she's like, I don't need to put up with this. And she leaves him.
Yeah,
So
she's
we'll
getting
see.
it, and then he's gonna be surprised. Like, why did she leave? What happened?
All right. Our final couple, Nick and Catherine. They are our drama series because it's like a who done it. What happened? Who? But she shares with the peers, that's Orna, that they're also scared to open up. Like it's a fear of judgment, even though they're beautifully non judgmental with each other. Nick says that him showing up and being vulnerable has been on his mind. Nick says that the show makes it more acute because it revolves around thoughts and opinions of other people, a vulnerability around his story and pain. And it's not just a show, it's how he shows up in the universe, like during work calls or social engagement, that he just has this feeling of being anxious. And as always, Catherine fills in the blank. I don't know, do you notice that Catherine usually fills in the blank for him when he's talking?
Yeah, it feels a little like Mondo and Kyle. I got a lot of Mondo and Kyle from
Mhm.
these two this week, and I don't like it in Kyle and Mondo, and I super don't like it in these two either.
There's a sweetness with this too, where it shows that they're really connected, where it doesn't feel like parenting. So with Kyle and Mondo, it feels like parenting for me, where Mondo is trying to make up for, okay, like you said, oh, I'm sorry, guys. Oh, he didn't mean to. And Kyle's like, I'm not sorry. Why are you apologizing for me? But with these two, it just feels like they're actual partners. Like they actually love each other and trust each other. I said that the first time we met them. I think last week was where I was like, I don't know what's going on here. But it came back again this week where it feels like they're partners. So to me, it's kind of sweet between them. He says that there's a fatigue that comes with it. Orna says, well, you've mentioned that you have insomnia. Like, what is the thing that keeps you up or the thing that exhausts you? He says, something happened to him when he was younger that made him feel shame and made him lose the narrative around himself publicly. And this made him lose trust. My brain starts going a mile a minute. I'm like, is he a TikToker? Is he something? Like, it's something I can go Google, but I don't want any spoilers. But then I was also thinking about, I don't remember, was it last season, that guy who started a fire? Do you
Oh
remember that?
no.
Yeah, it was one of the couples on there where he was talking about he started a fire, whether it was accidental or not. I can't remember. I started thinking, is it something similar to that? But I don't know. And I don't know if it involves, back to Nick, I don't know if this involves something with his parents because he's very protective of his parents. But he says he fell into a dark depression and spent many years coming out of that. And he never actually talked about it. And then he said, except to her. And again, I thought that was cute because it's just, I never know where Nick is, like in his pain and anguish that he's going through. But the fact that he actually still trusts his wife, I feel like that's something. That's something we can work on. It's not like he's a lone wolf and is like, it's my pain to carry alone, and I'm by myself. So it just felt nice that at least he's still leaning on his wife. So Catherine says that yes, he got so good at turning off his thoughts, and Orna says yes, it robs you of the full human experience. He says he feels like his body has been in fight or flight for the last 20 years. And Catherine says, yeah, but the thing is, he's fighting himself. That ayahuasca was the start, but there was so much self loathing that came out. I think Orna couldn't take it anymore. And then she's like, okay, what is this about? Like, I can't, basically, she's like, I can't move forward if I don't know the depth of what we're speaking about or what is the thing that happens. So they hold hands, Nick and Catherine, not Nick and Orna, and smile and smile at each other. So Nick says he doesn't know about talking about some of his stuff, that he struggles with sharing that with Orna because once he says it, she'll have something and that changes everything. And if he was to share it, what he wants in his mind, ideally, is that he would share it confidently. Like, this is the story. This is my story. This is what happened. But he feels like the way he's going to share it, he's going to stumble, he's going to bawl, he's going to cry about it. And then it's going to come out not the way that he wants it to be. And then he'll go into another spiral about that. Funny enough, that made sense to me. I understood what he was saying.
I'm not gonna lie, I tuned out with this couple because y'all are talking in code, and I still don't know. I have a very different perception of this couple than you do. Like you feel like they're very much caring and loving and partners, and I don't know what I feel about them, but it's not that. And so whatever this giant secret is, I mean, I is that the thing that brought them together? Is that the secret, the thing that keeps them together? Because if so, he should be, I don't know, if she's the only person that knows this thing about him, then I would think he would treat her differently. Like if you trust her with this huge secret, then
Yeah.
all of the other things you should be able to trust her with. You should trust her with money. You should trust her with her daughter. You know what I mean? Like I feel
Yeah.
like if you're my only confidant, then I'm
Confidant.
going to
Hmm.
treat you so delicately, and I don't get
Hmm.
that from him. So it's strange to me. I don't understand their dynamic.
That's fair. Honestly, that's fair. But I think it's because Nick is struggling so hard. So, and for someone who's struggling so hard, there's no way she doesn't suffer the side effects.
Right.
So I can see what you're saying. They don't show us that all the time. We saw it with the party. He's
Hmm.
still a dick. Don't get me wrong, but but it was just nice to see. In fact, what I wrote was, why did they pick him to do this show? If you're not going to be open, if you're not going to share anything, why are you here wasting time? Because again, if she doesn't know the breadth of things, how is she going to treat you? What is going to happen? But I did understand what he was saying. It's like, listen, I give you this information. Sometimes, even with regular like friends or whoever you confide in, some people say they don't like to confide in people because, let's say, in a moment of weakness, people will always see you forever that way in that moment of weakness, and that's how they'll define how they see you. So I think he's still trying to have control of how Orna sees him. But if you're coming for therapy, you're gonna have to strip all that at the door and leave
Yeah.
that at the door. And you can't try to control how it's gonna be. It may come out messy, it may come out anyway, but even it coming out messy could give an indication of whatever this big secret is. And they've hyped this thing so much that it's gonna be just anticlimactic whenever
Well, and I
it's
think that
been said.
too. I thought maybe they were going to be like, "All right, let's tell it off camera." That's what I thought was going to happen. That they were just going to reveal it, and we were never going to hear it. And to your point about how did they get on the show, my guess is Catherine led that. She probably filled out all the documents, and she probably mentioned the secret, whatever the secret is. Um, I don't know. Maybe he murdered uh,
No, you never. That's
Kyle's
what I'm saying. It can't
Kyle's
be
parents.
anything over it's so terrible that if not, they wouldn't say it on TV. It can't be something that can't not be said on TV
Right.
per se. So I'll be very. And then he's free. He's walking free. So it can't be. If we had to guess what it is, what do we think Nick did?
I'm gonna guess it's something. The word shame, or just the way he is so hesitant about coming forward and thinking about men. Like my only thing is that I don't something with another man. Like maybe it was something gay. I don't know. That seemed, for what I know about men and being real cagey and wanting to be ashamed about stuff. That's usually what it is.
Oh, having sexual relations with another man. Why would he
I
feel
don't
shame
know,
about
or
that?
maybe he was touched by a priest. I don't know. I have no idea. It's something that to me is the only thing in my brain where men get real like, I don't want to talk about it. They'll tell you about all the women they've slept with and all the positions, whatever. But if this thing happened when I was a child, I'm never going to speak about it again, and I'm going to be hyper masculine about it. I don't know. That's the only thing I could think of. What did you come up with?
I had two things. My first thing was something he's mentioned drug use before. So I think
Mm.
something about drugs and the way he treated his loved ones and maybe did something that was violent and was just rude and maybe cut them off. That was one thing. The other thing was maybe like a fraud situation. I don't know. Because of his addiction. So he funneled money and did something and he's ashamed. Wait, why are you laughing?
That is so. I don't know if he could admit to that if he did funnel money, unless he went to jail for it. He can't talk about it now.
Yeah, he might have gone to jail. Did a few years and came out. I don't know.
I
But those
don't
are
know.
the two things that I thought of. But either way, we are going to find out next week because um they were talking about it. Catherine says, the difference is the first time he went through it, he was alone. And this time, if he talks about it, he's not alone. They're a couple. He has someone to go through it with. he says he actually even wonders if Catherine could tell the story for him. And I'm like, you know what? Yes, she's more articulate because when Nick starts talking, we're saying a lot of word salad, is taking forever to get the words out. And then he tells her, you can start. And then they start like this ominous music playing in the background. And I'm like, you guys, stop hyping this up for it to be. But who knows? It could be something and my jaw will be on the floor. But it took all of me not to immediately play the next episode. But I always like to have like a fresh reaction. So I just stopped myself and didn't watch it. But yeah.
And I guess I would wonder too, why was Catherine the person he was able to tell this to? And maybe that could get him clear, and maybe that can get him on a path where he could talk more succinctly about it. Um, but yeah, I'm curious why and when Catherine was the one that he was able to share this with.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we'll
I might
see.
make her feel good because she didn't get to feel good a lot. So maybe that'll make her feel good.
Jed is like, yeah, I don't see what you're seeing.
I don't. I really don't.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, I mean, we'll find out. I mean, me, I hope it's a path to healing for him, honestly, because this man definitely looks tortured. So
Yeah.
hopefully it releases him and sets him free from whatever cage he has put himself in. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was the episode this week, guys. Jen, can you share with people where they can find you?
Yes, you can find us doing our new adventures in Phuket, Thailand. We are at jns.adventures on Instagram and YouTube.
Okay, you know where to find me, guys. Alta call MAFS on all of the social medias. If YouTube is your preferred mode of listening, you can subscribe. It's on there on audio, but no video. But just letting you guys know that that is also an option. Maths is coming back. Stay subscribed so you don't miss out on the new episodes. I'm still working on what cadence the episodes will come out because it's going to be multiple episodes. Just stay subscribed so you don't miss out on anything new. And please give me a 5-star rating if you are so inclined on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. And until next time, we'll be back with episode 14 of Couples Therapy. Bye, guys.
Bye.